G'day Flosstube. Welcome back to my excuse me, coughing and cross stitch channel. Today is May 18th, Monday. This is week 3 of the Mandala Maynia that I'm doing, and this week we're back to Tinctorium. Each week, for those anybody who hasn't joined me before, each week I'm basically focusing on one of my Chatelaines. I had hoped to start 3 different during Maynia. I expect I'm only actually going to get 2 started. So basically we did a week on Tinctorium, we did a week on Hawaiian, now we're back to Tinctorium, and next week will be Hawaiian. Whenever life returns to normal and the Tahiti chart does get here, I will probably do a week vlog style belated Maynia for Tahiti, but it's not going to be in May at this rate. So I will actually probably have to insert a photo of where I left Tinctorium at the end of last week, because I've missed a couple of days in filming of life. So it's now Monday. I had intended to film on Saturday, and the whole weekend is gone. So I got actually a reasonable amount of progress to show you. Look at all those little critters. We are now up to all 4 of those critters. That little hedgehog and that little hedgehog are entirely finished. 6 critters done out of 16. And obviously I got a good start on some of those up there and just a teeny tiny start down there. So I have been predominantly focusing on those little critters. In the evening when I get a bit tired, I might do, one thread, 1 over 1, and then 1 thread of something else. So I've gone in, filled in a lot of the second row of the border here, because that helps place the future little critters. They go in the gap. I started doing the specialty stitches around the center. So we have some Jessicas there in pink. I might try and insert a close-up picture, because inevitably all the little details on these things, it's really hard to show them when I've got the full piece. So I'll try and remember to put a little insert of the Jessica stitches. And this one. I've started doing, those are road stitches around the outside. And so I think it's that one and the top one. And then those same thread and road stitches go along the outer edge of each of those petal shapes. So clearly I still have acres and acres of those stitches to go in. But when I'm sitting watching TV with the kids or whatever in an evening, I find it sometimes easier just to do up, down, around in a circle for those road stitches than to try and count fiddly little 1 over 1 critters. But let's see, you can see this bunny is almost complete. He's not so much. But yeah, that's 6/16. Not quite half. So yeah, I would kind of like to finish or get very close to finishing all those critters this week. So expect to see a lot of critter progress. I did not do any more work on the Hawaiian one after I filmed my final segment in the last week's video. So no update to show you there. This video will be entirely Tinctorium. I didn't even take my Aura of Autumn to the community center to do any stitching. It's been nice, a little bit busier last week than the previous ones, so no stitching time, which is a good thing in some ways. I hope everyone's doing well. keeping safe in all this craziness, and you know, keeping distant and washing your hands, and still managing to find some fun in what you're doing, your stitching and the rest of it. I will catch you tomorrow for another update. See ya. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. It's Wednesday, May 20th. I'm pretty sure we missed a day in this whole vlog thing. I only did about one thread last night and fell asleep absolutely exhausted about 8 o'clock last night. So not much stitchy progress to show, but we've got a little bit. Still working primarily in all those little critters. I think these ones along the top have seen a fair bit of progress, and I'm pretty sure last time you saw it, that one down the bottom was only a couple of stitches. So he's bigger than he was. I think they're probably getting halfway on the critters. I think one of these corners, one of those corner pieces, probably this one up the top, is filled out more than it was. I think I put in a bunch of background grass one night when I was exhausted. It's, you know, easier to count that grass than the 1/1 stitches. So not a heap of progress to show, but you know, slow and steady. Excuse me. The test results are back. It's officially not COVID, but we all knew that anyway. I did get stitchy mail. I haven't even opened it yet. I split the top so you didn't have to watch me struggle to get in, and you can see how freaking hard it was to get in. So I thought we'd have a look at what's come, because this is all Maynia related stitchy mail for mostly the Tahiti mandala, I think. So this came from Journey of a Stitcher, aka Nicole on Etsy, and she managed to get a dinky dye or something I was waiting on from the States, and then couldn't have her wasting her time on just one little dinky dye, so I got her to send a whole bunch of other stuff at the same time. So I think this dinky dye is Midnight, and this is the exception. This one is for the Hawaiian mandala, I'm pretty sure. So that's Hawaiian, but I think the rest of this is all Tahiti. So a couple of the petite treasure braids, gold and a light blue. BB62, that's a different, it's got a lot of silver in that blue. The rest of these are all silk lame braids. Let's see what we got. We got quite a few of these. Try not to waste space showing you duplicate colors. The hazard of not opening any of this or being organized in advance. So we got a couple of blues and a white. We got a lot of blues in this thing, so those are all dupes. Those are all dupes. So a couple more blues. So let's see. Try and pull. I think these are all the blues we're up to so far. They're all a different blue? I think so. And another blue in this pack. Hold on. I love working with these silk lame braids. They're so nice. Okay, so that's a new one. That's a new one. That's a new one. And those are all dupes. Jesus, it must have quite a bit. So we got one more blue. I'll put that with all the other blues so we can have a look at all the blues together. So just a huge range of different blues to go in that piece. It's a pity I didn't pull the fabric before I turned the camera on for the Tahiti, but if you remember, I dyed that a really light blue. So hopefully these will all go nice with it. In fact, I might, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put these with the piece and I'll insert a photo so you can see. Then you don't have to wait for me to dig it up. And then, yeah, so then a green and a gold. I think that's the only gold. We had this gold in the treasure braid, but that's the only sort of gold in the silk lame braid. So that'll be a lot of fun when that chart gets here. I now have several more supplies to go with it. I love it when stitchy mail comes. You know, I was sitting at work today and as per usual, whatever script I was writing wasn't working and you're banging your head against the wall trying to figure out why this thing won't work. And I get my little ping saying I've got an email and it says, a package has been delivered. And I'm like, ooh, that's a good way to make the day. So thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you getting all that to me. And yeah, I think until tomorrow, I'll see you then. Bye. Today, Flosstube. It is Thursday, May 21. Guess what? Still working on little critters in the background. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Okay. So, to be honest, most of the time last night I was pretty tired again. So most of the effort went into the background along the bottom side. And I put a bunch more of the dense road stitches in along here. There was a couple of threads of 1/1 in the bunnies and stuff, but not a great deal of focus on the critters last night. So tonight I'm not feeling so tired, so hopefully try and get a couple more threads in on those and maybe knock out another animal or two. I thought I don't actually stitch these quite the way that Martina charted them. Obviously the little critters are 1/1 and the background is generally 2/2. But where the two meet, Martina basically takes that whole 2/2 stitch, and if any of it is animal, then all 4 stitches become 1/1, and then puts the back stitch through that. So you wind up with green where you have both 2/2 stitching and 1/1. I don't want to make 2 passes with that same green. So I don't do that. And I've made some diagrams to hopefully explain a bit better how I do it, in case anybody else is interested. So if you read one of Martina's charts, and I apologize for the crappy drawings, but they're basically, you know, where the A is. You can see I've written on the back of scrap paper. Hold on. I have a whole background. Hold on. Okay, that cuts down on the seeing through it a bit. So you can see the A is a 2/2 stitch, and the B's are 4 1/1 stitches. And so when Martina charts it, they'll literally be butted right up next to each other. It's very obvious to see what she intended to be 1/1 versus 2/2. I am working off the PDF version of Tinctorium. So obviously I can zoom in as far as I want. And, you know, even though those B's are a lot smaller, it's a non-issue to read because you just zoom in farther. Hawaiian, I don't have that luxury. I prefer the paper patterns. I think I've said before several times. And the Hawaiian one seems to be printed a bit on the small side. So if you have problems with your eyesight, don't buy the Hawaiian, the paper chart. I am relatively lucky in that regard. I think there is a spot where she slightly enlarged the 1/1 piece so that you can see better in the instruction area. But I guess I wouldn't count on that being big enough. If you like your symbols and stuff big, you'll want the PDF one so you can zoom yourself. But generally pretty easy to read as far as I'm concerned. So often when you're stitching along, you basically, so I'm figuring the bees here are my bunnies, browns, you know, little critters. So if you have a, this is all reversed, all my writing. Oh, sorry guys. I'll see if I can flip it in the frame. This is not helpful. Hopefully you can see I've got 3 A's around a B. So Martina's World, that would be 3 1/1 stitches of your background color, and then 1 1/1 stitch of the animals. I do that B, that 1 is a 1/1, just like she charted. Do the other 3 A's as a 3/4 stitch with my 2 threads. So, you know, I come the short way and then I cross the long direction. When they are either 2 and 2 or 1 background and all 3, the remaining 3 are the focal bunny animal stitches. In both cases, obviously I still do the focal stitches in the 1/1, but the A's just become a simple quarter stitch. And those quarter stitches run in whichever direction would fill the normal X. So this one goes from the top left to the middle. Sorry, as I'm looking at the photo, top right to the middle. I don't know. This corner to the middle. This is doing my head in, guys, with this back to front thing. In this other diagram, each A would run in the opposite direction, so it still forms the top half of the X. And then the bottoms would be 1/1. So, and that is purely preference, so that I don't have to go back and do a second pass in the background thread, 1 pass being 1/1, 1 pass being 2/2. So hope that helps for anybody else who's finding the whole 1/1 tedious. That's just my little cheat to make it a little bit less tedious. And hopefully I can get that flipped around so you can actually read it. I think that's about it for me. I have just gotten home from work, so I've got to find a flashlight and get back to the house because it's already gone dark. Mother Nature's a bit confused. It's been pouring rain for the last 2 days, and I think we've got another day coming up. It's supposed to be the dry season. I don't live in Cairns. All right. I will, excuse me, there comes the coughing. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. It is Saturday, May 23rd. It is a rainy, cold, miserable day here in the tropics. Got my sweater on. After I finish filming this little segment, I'm going on a search for a space heater. I've got a water bottle in the meantime. And barring the lack of success with a space heater, I'll probably have to resort to my insulated jeans from my ski closet. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous for the tropics. To put that in reference for everybody else, it is currently 57 degrees Fahrenheit and 14 degrees Celsius. So I might be a little bit spoiled, but it's cold. We don't get this weather ever. Excuse me. So one would think it's a good day to stay inside and stitch, and I know a lot of the local girls are doing exactly that. But I don't know. My family is just too antsy and crabby to be stuck inside. And so if I'm curled up in a blanket stitching, I'll just get scowly looks from my husband. So I'm hiding out here in the she shed instead. But a space heater and blanket will probably make it a little bit better. So I've been working on, guess what? More critters. I've now got all the critters on that side and the top. They're all done. These two on the bottom are done. These two are quite close. And I think I've only got one that has no stitches in it yet. So I feel like after an entire week of progress or work, I've made bugger all progress. But I was looking back at my picture that I took at the end of the first week of Maynia. And there's actually more progress there than you give it credit for, even given all the over one stitching. Doesn't feel like a great deal, but it is there. I'll put a photo in for comparison. So I think the plan is, you can see I've got one thread hanging down here that I'm still working on. That's the darkest color. That darkest color tends to be the bulk, not the bulk, a third of any given animal. So I will try and get, finish that animal with that third. The missing animal, I'll try and get its third in there, which is another money. And then I may put this away and rotate to Hawaiian and just have a bit of a break from the 1/1, because given how much the weather is a battle today, I just don't feel like battling 1/1 to boot. So we're going to change to Hawaiian for a bit of change it up. So I'm starting to get to the point where some of the colors are completely finished. So there's a bit of green that runs under the hedgehogs, and that's all done. There's a little bit of green in the bunnies. And obviously where I haven't even started the bunnies, I've still got those two to do. So we're getting to the end. The end is in sight, but I expect another, well, I would hope not an entire full week. I forgot to take my glasses off, guys. I'm getting reflection. I would hope not another full week, but we'll probably try and space it out from now on. This whole just doing 1/1 for a week has been a bit tedious, to be honest. So, but still, I'm super glad to have the back of that part of the project broken at this point. All right, so I think I will wrap this vlog series up here. I will spend this cold, miserable day doing the editing and get this uploaded to YouTube, and then go on to the Hawaiian mandala for the last week of Maynia. So, see you in the next video, guys. Keep warm, wash your hands. Hope everybody's doing well. See ya.